Hi, friends. Okay, I started just a second early because I like to be sure that everyone can hear me and I get people a second to get on here and be sure all my registrants are here and before I get started. So let me just give you guys a second here and log on, and then also tell you that I would suggest grabbing a pen and paper because or notes in your phone if you're really good with that, because I don't actually have a PowerPoint for a very specific reason. But let me just write it in the chat. Grab a pen and paper. And get ready. So I wanted to do this webinar, and I really hope to do one in person actually in February. So if we can do that, that'll be really awesome. And honestly, all my registrants are women. I figured it would be that way. Not that dudes don't set goals, but I know that women are a little more driven and probably to listen to another woman talk. So that might also be why, and that's totally fine. And I really geared it towards women after I saw that. So I would love to have one at the office in person as well, so we can kind of do this together and be around some other people. I don't know if you guys are, I know many of you who registered, but some people I don't know. And I'm wondering how many of you already just kind of do the New Year's obligatory, resolutions because you feel like you have to, and then how many people get really serious about it. I know that I used to kind of do the, let's write out a goal and see if we can achieve it. And just like they find out at the gyms, 2 weeks later, it fizzles out. The treadmills were full and then they're vacated, one by one, which is unfortunate because I know that everyone wants to improve their life. And sometimes we just don't necessarily dig down to the how, but really the why, and then the what, which is much, much less important. And it really wasn't until I started doing these sort of activities and getting dead serious about how to change my life was I able to do it. Quite honestly, I just had the superficial goals and didn't really know why I set them, and I didn't even know, where I put them in the house. Right now I'm looking at my 2020 vision board over here that I have, and you don't have to make a vision board. That's not what we're going to talk about right now. You can do whatever you want with this. But I started doing this now to be able to help other people. I believe that everyone has a God-given potential to reach. I know, like I said, everyone wants to improve their life. At least most people do. And most people that are on this webinar would. I just don't necessarily understand the tools or the why behind it. So that's what we're going to do today. And I put together a little, as much as I could with my notes of what I have learned over the years and how to implement things to really get down to the nuts and bolts of it. So I'm going to give you the information here on this webinar, but then it's really going to be you doing the work later, because you're not going to, you might have a couple aha things while you're sitting here and just write that down. That's going to help you, but it's not necessarily going to be like you're going to have your 2021 just like vision board when you finish this. It's more of like, this is how you're going to do it. So write this down. And then this is really where we're kind of going to dig into the why, so we don't have those failed, really superficial, obligatory goals of like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And people can write that down. And it's just, that is so surfacey. And sometimes we don't even know ourselves. We're not intuitive enough to look inside to be like, why do I want to do that? What's it going to do for me? How's that going to help me? What does that mean for me? And until you start really looking inside of those goals, do we start to understand, oh, that's why I want to do it. I was looking for energy. I was looking to bring date night back and improve my relationship with my husband. I am looking for a new friend group, and I want to go out with my girlfriends and feel comfortable and confident. I want to have that extra energy where I don't feel irritable with my kids, and I can be a better mom. And you can get really deep into this of like, what it means for you to be healthy and in shape, or to be a great spouse, or to be a wonderful friend, or to be, the best version of yourself. You can get pretty deep with this. So it's going to be up to you on how far you want to go. Oh, I got my notes here falling over. But I would really suggest taking a look at the why of your goals. And we do this with our kids. We sit around on New Year's Eve and write things of like bucket list things you want to do for 2021. What are some goals you want to achieve? And my kids have, as they've gotten older, my oldest is 15, they've been able to understand the why behind things of like, I want to improve my vertical by how many inches, and then say, this is why, this is why I want to do it. And that really will drive you even more. So instead of writing down something really superficial, to write down literally, I want to have extra energy and get up out of bed feeling great and be able to, tackle all the things that I want to do so that I can perform X. And here's how I found out really what drives this. So you might have heard of a belief triangle before. And I've talked about this on other videos, but if you haven't heard of this is great. And if you have, then we're gonna refresh you. There is something called your belief triangle where you can take a look at the results that you're getting in your life. And you might want to take a look at the results that you're not happy with in your life of, I'm 20 pounds overweight, or I don't have a great relationship with my spouse or friends or children. I don't like where I'm at in my job position. I'd like to get a new one and have, the confidence to go up for that. There's different things to look at in a result that you're not appreciating. And we can count backwards in that triangle to see, these are the actions that I'm taking that are driving these results. But then to understand your beliefs behind that are really what drive it and are directly related to the results that you're getting. And if you don't change your beliefs, as we all know, our beliefs can come from all sorts of sources. We call it mothers, fathers, teachers, preachers, right? We just adapt or adopt other people's beliefs. So sometimes you got to dig really deep inside to say, is that my belief? Or is that something that was told to me that I adopted as a belief? I actually had did a 5-hour course on financial. It was called like something with freeing financial. I can't remember. A friend invited me to, and it was wonderful. A room of 15 people, mostly women, but there was pages and hundreds of questions around, do you believe this lie about money? Money is the root of all evil. Money is dirty. Money, just page after page after page, just showing you these are things other people will say around this. And do you believe that? And what are your beliefs around it? Instead of understanding money can make you more of what you already are. And it was very interesting to sit with those people around that table for those 5 hours and just really hear some of the deep-rooted beliefs that we have around financial success and money. It was mind-blowing. And you could do this for literally anything. I know that there's books out there. However deep you want to get into this, get as deep as you want to in this. Make your triangles and take a look at, this is the result I'm not appreciating. Here's my belief with that. Here's my belief with how I look, what my appearance is. And this is why I feel like I should be this size, but who told me that? Did my mom tell me that? Was it a gym teacher? Was it a friend? Was it a magazine? Was it, a model? Who told me I needed to be this size? So really take a deep look at that. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Doing it in your own home or doing it in, wherever you're sitting, that's your usual environment, isn't going to necessarily bring up all the things that you want to, and it's not necessarily your vision space. So you're going to have to get outside of your normal environment. And I wouldn't have believed this until I do. I'm actually shocking, but I'm actually a very creative person. I'm always thinking of things to do, which is why I do these webinars. I always want to share information with people to help them better their lives. And I do it so much better outside of a normal space where you're doing that thing over and over again. I went to Mexico one time with my husband, and my kids had asked me, why are you going to Mexico to do this business planning? That doesn't, make sense. And I had to explain it to them how they could understand it. And I said, bud, when you're in the basketball game and you're just in the middle of the game and you might be losing and people might be scoring on you. But then you come out and you sit on the bench from the sidelines and you watch the plays happening and you see how they're scoring or how they're breaking down your defense. And then you have a whole new picture of what's going on and you get back in the game. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's exactly what you have to do in your life. You got to step outside of your life. You got to step outside of the situation you're in to be able to really take a big, big picture approach of what's going on in your life to say, okay, that's what I want to change. This is how we need to move forward. And I'd suggest just writing out not only just the negative, like, this is what I don't like in my life. What do I need to change? Instead, taking a positive spin to it and saying, this is what I would like my life to look like. Just like if you were building a house, you need to look and say, okay, here's the foundation. This is what we want it to look like. Here's the plan. Here's our blueprint. And write it down. I did that too. And it was really, really helpful, tedious, but helpful. And you can do it in every single category of your life and what's important to you. So in your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your relationships, even with each individual child or maybe each friend or with any relationship that you have with your professional world, anything that you want to do it in, write down the blueprint and say, this is what I would like my life to look like. And then you might have to go back and say, okay, here's the results I'm currently getting here. And here's where I'd like it to be. Here's the gap. Let's figure out what those beliefs are in that triangle, what actions I'm taking, because those are what need to change that are going to dictate my results that confirm my beliefs. And we kind of go in this little circle here. And you can have triangle after triangle. You can write them all down. You can make columns in a page, however you want to do it. It's really powerful if you sit down and do it. So write that down to be able to do and to be able to really weed through what you truly want. And like I said, you don't have to go to a beach, but you need to leave your environment. Maybe go to the coffee house, maybe go down. It's cold in Idaho, but I used to like to watch the river on the Pediatric River and just sit on the sandy beach there and write down some goals and write down some of the things that I want to change and some of my visions. And that's just very refreshing to be able to come back, once you've stepped out of your life, once again, taken a big picture approach of here's what's going on and here's what I want to do next, and then move forward. And some of it might not be like, I'm doing this tomorrow, because we get really excited about that. Instead, take it one step at a time. So over here, I know you can't see my vision board or what's going on, but I started to take a Post-it approach to it of some of the changes I want to make. And then once we've done it, I take the Post-it off my board and I put it in a stack, which can be really, rewarding. Some people really like to see the checklist and watch it still be up there. For me, just removing clutter, because I'm a declutter person, that was helpful. And then I could go to see, okay, what's left here that I want to do. And in 2020, I'd written down on my other little notes that I had taken I have more of an approach of like, here's some, realities in my life that I want to change. And I put little lines out, whatever kind of like the spokes of a wheel, and had said, okay, here's some things that I want to do. And here's how I'm going to do it. Here's the steps to it. And one was to spend more time with my kids. So the quarantine helped with that, right? I was like, wow, I didn't know this is how it's going to happen. But it was, a blessing in disguise. And I think it has been for a lot of people, but also a heartache for quite a few too. So moving forward in 2021, I think some of the resilience we need to build up behind our goals is even more important than ever before in figuring out the why. Why do you want to spend time with your family? How do you feel as, a mom or a sister? What's driving your behavior, which is really super important. That's getting you the results that you want. Now, I know that's enough homework, and we're 14 minutes in here. And I didn't plan on going super long, but I have another layer for you guys to take it to. So those of you who want to take this even deeper and start more of a real deep dive into who you are and what's going on inside your life, it's called the purpose exercise. And I had heard this a while back, and when the woman started talking and I heard her say her first line, I was like, what is she saying? So she said, pain is your purpose. And she probably repeated that line like 3 to 5 times before she started. Pain is your purpose. And I'm like, the optimism in me was like, or the optimist, I should say, in me was like, I don't know if I can listen to this woman. Like, why is pain my purpose? What is she talking about? And but I just thought, you know what? I paid for this. I'm going to sit here and listen to the whole 1 hour lecture that I've got here today and see what she has to say. And I opened my mind and my notepad, of course. And so as she started getting into it, she said, if you think back to your deepest pain, your most hurtful thing, and it's usually childhood, but not necessarily. Some people, it's a little bit later in life. That pain that you can think back to is going to drive your purpose in life. Whatever traumatic event it was, whatever most painful thing you experienced, you are going to want to dedicate your life to other people avoiding that pain. And so she gave examples because I was thinking, okay, this is interesting, and of course your wheels are probably turning too, to be like, all right, what's going on? What is she talking about? I'm not sure. And it can lead into just your actions and how you dedicate your life. Your career is definitely going to relate to this, and it's going to drive who you are. But it's also going to be passionate, but it's also can sometimes be very, very raw. So listen up here, because she started giving some examples, and the first one was hers, and it was her most painful thing was in middle school when she was heckled and teased by the mean girls, like the popular crowd. And she said she was mooed at and name called and just basically degraded. And it was really obviously painful. And if you can think back to middle school, and especially girls, and like I said, I know it's mostly women on this call, middle school, high school, the vulnerability, the just impressionability that you have during that time, you can just imagine being, mooed at by some mean girls in the hall and called names and all the things. And by the way, this was a very yogi looking, beautiful woman that is giving this seminar. And I thought, oh, wow, that was rough. I mean, obviously I don't know what she looked like in middle school, but that does sound really painful. And especially when you're just trying to make friends and reach out. And her business now is around helping women find their purpose, right? Helping successful women with financial. She's got this whole thing that she does. And she's like, isn't it interesting how I've used this now for women to be empowered instead of feel crushed and belittled and shamed and all the things that you can feel. And she said, but the raw part of it is, and I have to recognize this, is that when I have a woman walk into the room to whatever, because she did live seminars at the time, it was not a live one, it was on the screen that I was looking at, but she said, I will have a very confident, great looking woman walk in, and I'm instantly wanting to judge her. Like, oh, no. And I'm not immediately to be like welcoming to her, to like, hey, come on in here, because she's triggered by that, right? The tall, confident, mean girl look that had traumatized her. And we had some other callers on there and people that were talking things through. And one was a woman whose mom and dad were never there for her. And all she wanted to do was to be a mom and a stay-home mom for her kids, and to go to all their things, right? To go to their sporting events and to always be there. Like, oh, my parents weren't there for me. I need to be here for them, to the point of like, knowing that it was going to be a trigger for her of like the social angst if her kids weren't there, if she couldn't make a sporting event, and how hurtful it was to her, how shameful she felt and bad she felt that she couldn't make her son's, whatever it was, soccer game or reward ceremony or, whatever it might be. And some of us, that might not even be our main goal, but I can relate to that of feeling like, who told me what it looked like to be a mom? Definitely my mother, right? Mothers, fathers, teachers, preachers. My mom was there for setting that example for me to go to my kids' sporting events. She was a stay-home mom, so she was always there at the house taking care of it, and things that were very different for me. And so I can recognize those triggers as well as being a working mom and having somebody here at the house to help the kids or sending them off to school, or which is not happening now. I'm homeschooling. Where I need to recognize those. I can see those triggers in myself, and I need to recognize it as well. And I'm sure other women can relate. I'm probably preaching to the choir here of who taught us how to be who we are. And obviously that's just one hat that we wear, but same thing with being a spouse. Who taught me how to treat my spouse? Whose example am I following? Is it my parents? Is it other examples of friends, marriages that I saw? Probably a combination of all of it, right? Was it a pastor? Was it my premarital counseling? All the things that you start to absorb, but really for you to break it down and look at, what do I believe and what are my beliefs around it that are driving my behaviors? So for example, if it was a spouse, why are we not making date night a priority? Why are we not, connecting, whatever it is, and take a look back to say, is this not something that was presented to me? Or is this like maybe a miscommunication between the spouse and I, husband and wife, of what did this look like? And to really, I know they do this in premarital counseling, but they look at the wife's family and the husband's family and see how their marriages are and where some of the mismatches might be that might be unintended hurt. I know when I was going back through this exercise myself and thinking about, okay, so what was the most painful thing? And as an adult, I can think of the absolute most painful thing in my life. But I was thinking back into my childhood, and when I really looked at it and thought, you know what? As a kid, I wasn't super well off. My friends were, and I didn't necessarily have some of what I felt like were the same privileges or the same even playing field. I felt like I didn't necessarily have the opportunities that they did. And so when I started realizing a lot of my passion is working with kids, special needs kids with behavior issues, kids that might be told they are not equal, right? They're not good enough. They don't have an equal chance as somebody else. And here's my purpose in life that I can find is for every kid to feel important, every kid to know that they can do and achieve anything. But I hadn't really looked back at that to say, that makes total sense of what I do for a living. I want every child to feel special and important. I want every child to not feel, like crushed that they don't have some sort of privilege that somebody else around them was, that they're amazing with who they are inside of them and that there's nothing wrong with them, right? If you've been to my office, that's what we talk about. There's nothing wrong with a child coming in under chiropractic care. This is the same thing for adults. We're to help you be a better version of who you already are. You are already perfect and awesome. Chiropractic care is going to make sure that your brain and body is talking appropriately, and it can be the best version of you. It can make the best choices. It can be in the best moods. It can have the best feelings. And that doesn't mean feelings have to be happy either, right? It's able to understand this is anger to me. Because some kids don't understand that, right? Some adults don't understand that. Why did that make me angry? Because we're so disconnected, which is what chiropractic really helps us do, is keep that connection there, keep that intuition there, make sure that our brain is taking in the world appropriately instead of in an altered sense, which is often what we talk about in the office as well. When you're looking around at all of how each individual takes in the world, we can all be sitting in the same environment. Like we might all be on this computer right now, listening to what I have to say. And some people maybe are like overwhelmed. Some people might be worried. Some people might be excited. Some people are like, oh my God, this is boring, like old news. But we all are listening to the same words I'm saying and experiencing something very different. And when we have a filter of stress, then it is coming in as stress. It can't be filtered appropriately. And that's why chiropractic exists, is to remove that stress filter and let it be a nice, clean filter for your body to take in the world, to heal internally, to heal externally, to heal emotionally, and to give you the best chance for whatever you're doing, for it to be at the very best potential that it can be at. You reading a book, we want you to read it with clarity. We want you to take in all the information and say, hey, I learned all of these things, instead of listen to a book and be like, that was boring, or I need to re-listen to that part because I was daydreaming. I wasn't even listening. My brain is foggy. All the things. And like I said, I do these webinars because I want people to have a higher life experience. I want everyone, here goes my purpose in life. I want everyone to feel like they have an opportunity and an equal chance to do anything that they want to, because they're already amazing and they're already wonderful. So I'm looking through my notes here to see if I really missed anything. And I don't think that I did, other than being able to recognize, being triggered and judgment, and having that awareness of that might be something that you can be acquainted with, to know, I understand that me seeing someone, or me being apart from my child, or me seeing a kid that doesn't appear to be treated fairly, how that might make me feel, and not for me to project my feelings onto others. And I'd encourage you guys to do the very same. So if you guys want to do an even extended version or something very similar to this in person in February, let us know, because I'm going to get that information out as soon as I can. And also other videos that I do with these sort of purpose exercises. I've got a couple other ones, but we're at 25 minutes, and that's a lot of information. And I knew I vomited a lot of things on you, and there's a lot of work to be done. But before you set your superficial New Year's resolutions that are very obligatory, I want you to make some deep-rooted ones, and just at least start with one category in your life and make a really good change there. Make your belief triangle. I know when I first did this with a mentor, I had pages. He said, send us your pages of your belief triangles. And I had pages and pages of belief triangles to look up and really reflect on myself of, what am I thinking about this? What is truly my belief? And what kind of changes do I need to make so I can delete some of those old belief systems that aren't actually true, that I feel like are, and take on my own and be my own confident person and my own confident decision making, and create my own destiny. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Happy 2021. I hope you guys all just let 2020 go and get renewed for 2021, and also be adaptable. And the more adaptable you are, and the more you're deep rooted in your whys and your beliefs and who you are, then the more you are going to be able to change your life. Thank you very much.